Hey everybody, and welcome in. It is Buccaneer Insider. We're back for another week, and we've got a really fun episode for you this week. We got some former CSU athletes, some alums that we're talking to. We've got former CSU baseball player Chris Singleton. We got to chat with him and just really a little bit about what he's doing. He's working with the Charleston River Dogs over there, and got to talk about what they're doing with the River Dogs. His new book that he's got coming out, so you can check that out, and then our second interview was also Kelsey Riggs, former CSU soccer player, who is now actually working for the ACC Network as a reporter and host. And it was great getting to talk with her. Just both of them. It was fun getting to talk to former CSU athletes and alum that just kind of coming back and seeing what they're up to.
Yeah, we are bringing the heat this week, dropping names like we're Fred Applin. No big deal, just these two.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I feel like we have to wish Fred Applin had his birthday the other day. So because you brought him up, a little belated happy birthday to Fred.
Coach.
But yeah, either way, it was a great episode this week. I really think everybody's going to enjoy them. So two great interviews. We'll get to Chris here in just a second, but we can't forget East Bay Deli, proud sponsor of Buccaneer Insider and CSU. Really appreciate everything they do for us. And well, we'll quit talking. Nick Case, Killian McClatchy. Let's get to Chris Singleton. Welcome, everybody. We've got a great guest joining us right now. We've got Chris Singleton, and we've got to name off pretty much everything that's going on in your life. You've got former CSU baseball player on the list. Right now, the director of community outreach over at the Charleston River Dogs, where you're doing great work there. And then you're also an author and an inspirational speaker. You're doing just about a little bit of everything.
Yeah, man, I'm blessed to be able to do so much, but especially in my hometown of Charleston with the River Dogs, I'm glad to be here.
So we'll get some of the heavy lifting out of the way. The past few weeks have been interesting times and a year of interesting times. How are you doing through all of it?
Yeah, man, it's been tough to see, certain things go on, but I'm hopeful. I'll tell you why. I've seen people that don't look like me or speak the same language as me, say they've got my back, or people that look like me, they've got our back. So I think it's really, really cool to see that from across the nation and the world. But ultimately, you guys know my message is all love and unity. And I feel like if we get those two things together in people's heart, then we'll see a lot of change for sure.
Now, go ahead. Sorry. No, Killian, go for it.
No, we were just, that's one of the things that, you've taken on this role as an inspirational speaker, and how has that kind of been going, especially recently? And, you just said kind of how you preach and, the love and all of that. How is that something that people can really just embrace right now?
Yeah, well, it's been different for me. Obviously, I haven't been on the road for about 3.5 months, which is the first time I have been home straight for 3.5 months in like forever. So it's been pretty cool to actually be home with my family. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not really getting my message out there as much anymore. But in that same sentence, this children's book is blown up. People from across the country have supported me in this mission of teaching unity and love to our students. And I've actually gotten, orders from Australia, Germany, Great Britain, everywhere, man. So it's been awesome.
What is the book? Tell us about your book, Different.
Yes, so my book, Different, it's called Different, a story about loving your neighbor. It's a children's book. Basically, a kid comes from Nigeria over to the States. And when he does so, he's picked on here and there. He's different. And so ultimately, my mom is one of the main characters in the book. And she says, Obina, never be ashamed of who you are. You're beautifully made and you're wonderfully made. And so Obina takes that advice. He goes out there. They win field day, and all the students applaud him, and they want to know more about Nigeria. And so I think it's really cool because sometimes our students, whether they're taught it or just subconsciously, when somebody's different, they think about them as being bad, or they think about different as being bad, whereas this book teaches you to love people that are different and to celebrate those differences.
So what was the real inspiration behind, writing a book? Is, not a lot of people, not a lot of people kind of sit down and go, yeah, I want to write a book, especially in such a busy life that you have.
Yeah, for me, man, I've been, writing in my journal, writing my notes daily for years, man. And so I've always thought about, having my book, but I was super, super, convicted to write a children's book because I speak to high schools, middle schools, colleges, and companies, but I felt weird, speaking to elementary schools, because I'm, talking about my mom being murdered because of the color of her skin, and I felt like I want to get that message across without it being so harsh and brutal towards little kids.
How often do you talk to your mom still? I know she's not with us, but how often do you talk to her?
Yeah, man. Well, every single day, the way I live my life, I try to do so in a manner that I make my mom proud. If you see my social media, just about every post says, "Can't let moms down." That's something that I've been doing just to remind myself that my mom is always watching and that everything I do is basically her legacy. So I talk to her quite often and I dedicate a lot of things to her.
Now, among all those accolades we listed off to start, you are an inspirational speaker, which is different from a motivational speaker. I like the different tone there. Was that something you always wanted to be?
No, man. When I was in college at CSU, to be honest, the only thing I wanted at first was just to, play baseball and get drafted and hopefully make it to the big leagues, right? That's all I wanted. That's all I thought that I was supposed to do in this life. I love to teach to kids and stuff like that, but I thought baseball was it for me. But I kept getting requests, Chris, do you want to speak here? Do you want to speak there? And eventually I said, you know what, let's do it. And after I did it, so many people were like, Chris, you gotta keep doing it. So that's where it all started for me.
How did your baseball career, or did your baseball career kind of affect your speaking?
I would just speak in the final 4 months of the year. So, we play baseball about 8 months out of the year, if you include spring training and different instructional camps. And for the other 4 months, that's when I would speak and travel full time.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when, what did you kind of take from your career, through CSU and through, trying to work your way up through the Cubs system? What did you kind of take away that you kind of use yourself to tell other people?
Well, for me, I think, one of my talks is about the power of teammates, how my teammates rallied behind me in one of the most horrific moments of my life. I had guys on my left and my right that were my teammates, that played with me, that were my brothers, that said, Chris, I'll stay up till 2 a.m. and talk to you about your feelings, right? And I think that camaraderie was so big, and I'm so grateful that I got that at CSU.
Now, you said you were home for 3.5 months. I know you still did some things for your inspirational speaking. How did you adapt?
I think the way I adapted was just like everybody else, right? Zoom was huge. Skype, Google Hangouts, like it was the same message, but just a different platform to do so. I also did a lot of recording with just cameras, and that was really weird for me, honestly, because I speak to people, but I don't speak to just cameras, so that was different. But it went well, and I'm glad that hopefully really soon things will start opening back up, and I'll be able to share with people again.
So the next thing, obviously the MLB draft just happened, and you were drafted. What kind of memories does that bring back for you?
I got drafted. The day I got drafted, I was actually cleaning swimming pools. Crazy, silly enough. So it makes me think back on that. I saw a really cool story that the Cubs drafted a guy that played in the Little League World Series in Chicago. And so I think that was a really, really cool connection. But yeah, man, I love it. I think we only have 5 rounds this year. So not as many kids will get to hear their name called, but to the ones that did, I know they're super, super excited about what's next.
How did you find out you got drafted?
My scout, Tom Clark, is the one who actually called me. He actually saw some games at CSU, but he he called me. He said, "Chris, you watching the draft?" I said, "No, my nerves are too bad to be watching it, man. I'm not watching it." He said, "Okay, well, we just took you, man. He just took you in the 19th round." I said, "Wow, that's amazing." I was smiling ear to ear. Obviously stopped and put my little swimming pool cleaning pole down and was super happy about getting my name called.
What was that whole process like for you? You know, trying to go and learning that you got drafted, and then obviously going and getting the contract signed and getting all of that done.
Yeah, man, it was a whirlwind. First I think we had about a week and a half or 2 weeks until I went out there to Arizona to sign my contract. Get the proper physicals and all that stuff. So I was super nervous. Like, I was super excited, but also super nervous because I know I was going to be a professional, right? Held to a different standard. But it was exciting, man. I remember the first time when I got to Arizona, there was like 30 of us that were gathered around. They've been drafted, that were going to get our physicals and all this stuff. And we all were like, man, we really did that, huh? We really just got drafted. So it was a lot of fun. And looking back on it, I definitely cherish those memories.
And so,
go for it.
I was going to say, you mentioned how the draft this year was only 5 rounds. You were taken in the 19th round back when you were drafted, and that's been a big talking point of a lot of people, is how many kids, unfortunately, that didn't get to hear their names called on draft day. And what would you say to them, those kids that are still, trying to grind out that dream?
Yeah, man. With it only being 5 rounds, that means I wouldn't have gotten drafted that year. And I'm thinking if I were in that situation, I would have definitely gone back to school to play if possible. You think back on, playing sports as a younger person, in high school, then college, that competitive nature, it kind of never dies. I feel like even when you're done playing. And so I advise people to, man, play as long as you can, whether that's, playing for an independent ball team or going back to college and playing. I definitely advise people to keep chasing that dream.
Did the River Dogs reach out to you while you were still in South Bend or when you were done?
No, actually, when I was done, I actually had a pretty good relationship with the River Dogs before. They would donate to my baseball camp that I do for the kids here in Charleston. And our president and GM, Dave Eccles, we had been talking back and forth before. And when I got released, it was kind of the perfect situation to where, I could still make an impact in my community as well as share my message across the nation as well.
And so your position, you're the director of community outreach for the team. Kind of what goes into your job?
Yeah, number one for me is youth baseball and our youth sports here in Charleston. We've got great partnerships with the recreation departments. The guy that I'm basically taking over his role, Walter Nolan Cohn, he's laid the groundwork for a lot of awesome partnerships with recs around here. So kind of taking that and enhancing it. A lot of the churches, the relationships we have with churches, obviously with CSU being a faith-based university. And last but not least, man, sharing my message of loving people and loving others, no matter what their differences are. I'm doing that at schools here in Charleston as well on behalf of the River Dogs.
You mentioned your baseball camp. You've got sports going on. Tell us about the camp.
Yeah, we got camp next week, man. I'm super excited. I feel like all the parents are like, finally something to kick my kids out of the house with, right? And so next week we got it Tuesday through Thursday. We've actually got 5 weeks of baseball camp and then 1 week of culinary camp where we have our Vice President of Food and Beverage, Josh Shea, who's going to be teaching kids how to make ketchup and seeing how things are made. So I'm super excited about these camps we got coming this summer.
How can people sign up for them, or can they still?
Yeah, we actually sold out of the first 2 camps, so we got to make sure we move fast. But RileyParkEvents.com, or they can go to the River Dogs website and look that up as well. And I'm excited, man. I want to see as many kids as we can. Obviously, due to COVID, we had to cut back on the number of kids we'll have during each week. We're taking all those precautions to make sure people are being safe, but definitely want to get out there and have some baseball and have some fun.
Where can they pick up your book?
Yeah, if people want to check out me and my book, it's chrissingleton.com, and they'll find all the information they need right there.
How badly are you missing baseball right now?
I miss it, man. I haven't even been able to watch too many of the I think it's the Korean League games, KBO, I believe it's called. But I've seen some highlights, and it's fun to see that.
I pitched this idea to my wife, similar to Nate, current your promotions person, similar to what the KBL is doing, except with it not being stuffed animals, but just cardboard cutouts of Bill Murray everywhere. If the River Dogs are able to start playing, you think we can make that happen?
Well, you know what? We have our slogan here: "Make fun," right? We try to make fun in everything we do, and so if that's going to bring some smiles to people's faces, then I'm sure we can dial it up.
I was going to say one thing I feel like we've got to ask you is CSU obviously just hired a brand new baseball coach, Coach McMillan. Have you had a chance to speak with him, or do you know much about him at all?
Yeah, I've spoken to Coach Mack probably 3 times so far since he's been hired. I'm looking forward to him actually being in Charleston in July. You know, he's got a little baby girl on the way, I believe. So he's got to take care of his home front before he comes. But I'm looking forward to learning from him, to bounce some ideas off of him, and to ultimately see our baseball team get going.
Now, we had him on our show, and it was a great conversation. And one of the big takeaways I had from him was he likes Mexican food. So what I'm telling everybody that's going to be in contact with him is, if you've got recommendations, pass them along, because he really wants to know about Mexican food.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible with that kind of stuff. To be honest, every time I go to a Mexican food place, only thing that I eat is a shrimp quesadilla, right? I have no variety. So when he comes, I'll see if I can hook him up with somewhere around here.
Other than the Riley Park, right? The Riley Park Club,
Yeah, we've got awesome ballpark foods up here, but I don't think we've got any Mexican going on right now with our promotions of foods. But if he wants to come up here and put on 10 pounds, we can surely do that for him.
I will say the Southwest egg rolls I had were really good.
Yeah, those were good. I think we just rolled out a new menu. So we got some really cool and funky stuff and crazy stuff that people have probably never had before that are actually excited to try. We've sold, and people have had a ton of them come today.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know, Nick, do you have anything else for him?
Oh, man, I appreciate you. I know your time is pretty limited, so I really appreciate you taking some time to come and talk with us, man. It was good to see you. Hopefully, I know we talked about it last year. The season was cut short. Next year, you and Killian calling a game together at CSU for ESPN+, yeah?
Me?
Yeah. We talked about it last year. You said you're game to come on, but the season got cut short.
Well,
Killian's
you know what?
a play-by-play guy. You hop on and do color.
Okay, well, we'll still think about it. Hopefully, I don't embarrass myself.
Look, I was going to say, if you want to do the play-by-play, I'll even let you do that.
No, I think you can handle that part right there.
Look, if I can do it, there's no reason you can't do it. I played Little League. I know a little bit about baseball. I think you know a little more than me.
We'll see. I've never done it, but I think that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Something cool to try.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on, and we got some time to talk about it.
For sure, man.
All right. Well, Chris, really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for chatting with us. Thanks for everything that you do, and can't wait for baseball to get back on. And good luck with the camps and everything going forward.
Thank you guys so much. God bless.
That was Chris Singleton, former CSU baseball player, the director of community outreach for the Charleston River Dogs, inspirational speaker, author. We mentioned at the start, he does a little bit of everything.
He may have more titles than Jordan.
Ooh. That's a good one. I was going to say, we might have to let him know about that. That's a good one he might have to use.
I'll send him that. I'll text him that. Or, no big deal. We have his numbers. No worries.
It's true. Nothing. But yeah, no, it's great talking to Chris. Really great hearing about him, just everything he's been doing, especially recently in those camps over the River Dogs for that baseball, finally getting some sports back. And then also his new book. Be sure to go check that out. Yeah, do that. Can't forget East Bay Deli, proud sponsor. We really appreciate them. And I think we'll get over to our second interview for this week. We've got Kelsey Riggs, ACC Network host and reporter and former CSU soccer player. Hi there. We got another great guest and a little bit more of a famous one. You might want to say, you might see her on TV here and there. We've got Kelsey Riggs, former CSU soccer player, and then also a host and reporter for the still relatively new ACC Network. Kelsey, how's it going?
It's going good. I don't know about the famous thing, but the relatively new ACC Network, yeah, we feel like we're going to like relaunch all over again. We were just getting started. So thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited about this.
Well, as far as fame goes, I was a local celebrity on radio for a bit, but I'm down on the totem pole. Killian is the voice of CSU, and then you are ACC Network. So I think as far as the three of us go, you've got us beat.
I won't argue with you, but I think you're wrong.
We all know it's me. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't argue with Nick. He's in charge, so.
Okay, well, there you go. I like that.
But, well, I mean, really, kind of the first question we've been asking kind of everybody we've talked to during this time is just how's life going for you? What have you been up to? Especially for you, you're kind of in a similar situation as us. You work in sports, and with no sports, I'm sure things are kind of weird.
It is. It's been really weird. I moved out of Charleston for my first job in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina back in, I guess, 2012. And ever since then, I have maybe not had more than, unless taking a week off for vacation, 2 days off. And I'm always in different cities and all over the place. So this is the first time really, I think, in 8 years that I've had time to just sit down and slow down and have a little time to myself. So I was in Greensboro, North Carolina for the ACC basketball championship, and we were doing shows from there with ACC Network. We had already done the women's games and we were doing the men's games. And when it got canceled that Thursday, I flew back home, which is now Connecticut, and was there for like 4 or 5 days, and then was like, well, this seems like maybe it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I jumped on a plane and came to Charleston, actually, where my family still is, and have been quarantined with them for, I guess, like 3 months, you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's crept by, other times it's gone by really quick.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The first couple of weeks, I was like, quarantine's great. I've never had this much time. And I was doing all kind of home projects and painting and thinking that I was like Chip and Joanna Gaines on, HGTV. And since then, things have slowed down even more. And there's obviously a lot happening in the world outside of the coronavirus. So things have changed drastically lately. But yeah, it's been a nice reflection time, if nothing else. I think there's definitely like little positive blessings that you can find in everything that's happened.
My wife went the the Food Network route and pretended she was Molly and started cooking a bunch of Filipino American things. So
see, that's probably what I should do, because that would serve me better in life to actually be a good cook. That's not something that will ever be on my resume, I don't think.
So you were kind of on the front lines here as everything started, all the dominoes started falling on March 18th or so. What was that like?
It was surreal. I think when it all started, that I definitely did not realize just the scope of everything that was happening. Even when I remember driving to the airport from Greensboro to Raleigh, North Carolina, with one of my co-hosts and then our boss. And that was, I think, the day that the Ivy League had already canceled everything for the rest of the spring season. And just thinking at the time, like, well, we're probably going to be back in a few weeks. Obviously, we now know the scope of what happened with the coronavirus. But it was surreal. We walked out on the court as the ACC commissioner, John Swafford, handed the trophy over to Florida State, and Clemson was standing by because they were getting ready for their game right before everything was put on pause. And you just kind of looked around and took in the moment, and it was surreal, and it was confusing, right? Nobody knew what to expect. No one knew how long, and I guess we still don't have all of those answers. But it was definitely something that I've never experienced and didn't think that I would experience in my lifetime, just seeing the world stop essentially for so long.
We were in office and we had our printout of spring things, baseball, softball, track events, and all these things. And as conferences or teams started saying, we're done, we X, cross it off. And it was just a really, really strange feeling.
Yeah, that was kind of how we were too. You kept thinking like, okay, maybe in a few weeks with AC, you guys mentioned ACC Network is new. We were just gearing up for softball and for baseball and for all of those sports. And so with the new network, I don't even really know what that looks like for us yet. We'll find out next year, but was really looking forward to that and experiencing all those spring sports like we had with the football season and basketball season and everything in between. But yeah, it's been a little weird.
You mentioned how the ACC network is, it's still young. It's just about 9 months old right now, maybe a little bit older. But what was it like for you to kind of be in there and kind of be from the start of a brand new network like that?
I just used the word surreal when we were talking about everything that's happening in the world, but this was surreal in a totally different way. I mean, when I was at Charleston Southern playing soccer there and dreaming about being a reporter one day and hopefully getting to cover sports, the dream, I think, of a lot of people who want to cover any type of sporting events is to work for ESPN. And so to get the call and to have the opportunity to come work for ACC Network as a part of ESPN, and then as you mentioned, to really be part of the group that's had the chance to launch it has been so rewarding. I mean, the people that work there have really made my last, I think you said 9 months since August, incredible. But it's different when you all come in together. It's just a different team. It's just as if a new coach gets hired and the players weren't with them before. We all came in together, all the ideas from the ground up. And so it's been really cool to kind of be part of the group that gets to help launch ACC Network and see where it grows from here. I'm excited to see what the future looks like too, and to one day look back and laugh at all the times. I mean, I was scared to death starting it. I've been on TV for, at the time, 8 years, and our first shows and my first hits and everything. Totally nervous, just like a whole new world starting it all over again, but it's been fun.
So for all the regular people who don't see themselves on TV, there still are some nerves every time when you get ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think that if you're not nervous at all, then you don't care, right? So if I think that there's a healthy amount of, and sometimes it goes from nerves to excitement at this point. But right before, when we were at the ACC championship and we had a great setup with the court right behind us in the Greensboro Coliseum, and you've got all the people around and you're getting ready to do a show in an atmosphere like that. And there's definitely a feeling, especially as a former college athlete, that's something that's so cool about being there and being in the mix with all those people and feeding off of that energy. But yeah, I think you take a moment and you also appreciate where you are. And so that makes a little bit of the nerves and the excitement worth it as well.
So you mentioned your time as an athlete. You played soccer at CSU, and kind of want to get into a little bit of that. What was kind of went into the decision process? Why CSU?
Yeah, so my whole life thought, okay, I love playing soccer. I played year round on every travel team and league that I could and competed. But I thought that I wasn't going to play in college. I thought I want to go to a big school and enjoy a huge college football scene. And then my junior year of high school, when we lost in the state finals, all I wanted to do was play soccer. Like every day I had nothing to do, and I didn't have any more practices. I didn't have anything to do. And I thought, this is what college is going to be like. Soccer was a part of my life, my entire life up to that point. And so I was already playing on a lot of competitive teams and getting in front of college coaches. I just wasn't really pursuing it. And so my senior year, I pursued it a whole lot more and thought, hey, let's see how it works. And Charleston Southern and Coach Terrell, I'll be forever grateful for not just the opportunity he gave me, but all that I learned from him during my time at Charleston Southern and the friends that I made there. We still have a group chat with about 5 of the girls that I played with that we talk at least weekly, if not every couple times a week. But yeah, I thought, do I want to go to a big school and walk on, or do I want to go to a Division I place and be able to play soccer and hopefully make an impact? And so Charleston Southern gave me that opportunity. My family was half an hour down the road, so they could drive and see me play, which was really important to me. My family and I are super close. So for me, it was the right mix of everything, and to have the ability to be close to home, to continue to grow my faith and expand my background, and then also to be able to play Division I soccer. I said, I'll try it for a year. If I don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. And they got stuck with me all 4 years.
And so when did your kind of passion for sports reporting and being around that world begin? Was that something before you got to CSU and that kind of factored into the decision why you went there, or was it something you kind of picked up when you got there?
So I always loved broadcast journalism. I always loved the news. I can remember being like a little fourth grader at Harborview Elementary School on James Island and getting to be the one that got to do the news and read the announcements, and mom and dad coming and watching me and just feeling so proud. So I always liked that. And then when I was in high school at James Island High School, I had a broadcast journalism teacher named Miss Miley, who was fabulous. And she really just helped me kind of cultivate that excitement and grow it even more, and taught me and gave me a really great foundation. So I knew I wanted to do something in broadcast, and I always loved sports. I think early on I thought I would be a news reporter just because that was what I had always done. I remember always liking and watching the women who were sideline reporters during games, and seeing people kind of infiltrate the sports world, women as well. But yeah, for me, I'm just so much more comfortable and better talking about sports than I am politics and car wrecks and all of those things. So I was a news reporter for my first job for a year and a half in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, just to get my foot in the door, and they knew I wanted to do sports. But definitely at Charleston Southern, it grew more. I did 2 internships with the 2 of the local news stations while I was there, and one was in news and one was in sports. And while they were both great and gave me a great foundation, when I got to do the sports one, I was like, this is what I want. I mean, I knew sports was going to end for me after college. I wasn't going to go play professional soccer anywhere. That was not exactly in the cards for me. So this was kind of a way to take 2 of my passions and combine them both together.
So how does one get from CSU to ESPN? I'm asking for a friend, maybe 2.
Yeah, good question. It's, for me, I guess everybody's story is different. And I always, when people ask me who are in the industry and they're like, hey, should I get an agent? Should I not? What did you do? What was your path? Everyone's different. Mine is incredibly unique. I was working in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had been there for about 3 years. My contract was coming up the following August. I think it was October. And I was laying on my couch talking on the phone to my older sister. And I got an email randomly to my personal email account that said the header was ACC tip-off. And the very next day, the ACC Media Day was going to be in Charlotte. And so I thought, who is this from Syracuse that like wants me to go get some video and sound from them, or whatever school far away that can't make it? And I opened the email, and it was actually from one of the head talent guys at ESPN saying, hey, I'm going to be here and I would love to meet and have coffee and just chat with you a little bit. And I cried a little that night, because once I afterwards had done my homework, because at first I thought I was being punked. I'm like, who is this? Like, I can't find this person anywhere. Who's sending me this email? I didn't want to get my hopes up if it wasn't real. But I had no idea for a long time how they found me. And then I later found out that one of the women who is one of the head execs at ESPN, her mother lived in Charlotte and had been watching me during my time there and saying, you need to check out this Kelsey Riggs girl. I kind of like her. So basically, you never know who's watching. Someone's mom liked me, and the message got passed down. And for me, that's how I went from Charleston Southern to ESPN. But Nick, I don't know. I could see who's watching in Charleston.
I mean, we are technically ESPN brethren. We are ESPN Plus. So
Exactly. And that was, hey, I mean, when I was, I think one of you asked earlier kind of what it was like getting to Charleston Southern and what, like how I moved here. I've been back lately, and just to see the like leaps and bounds of what everyone there is doing within the broadcast department and what you guys do with the games. I was talking to someone the other day for a story. And I was saying at my, when I was playing soccer there, we were lucky if we had like the game tracker, and that wasn't a Charleston Southern thing. That was just a sports thing at the time where we just weren't there with the technology. And so to see the way that not just the games have grown and the school's grown, but also the coverage for me as an alum has been really cool.
You mentioned kind of the broadcast program and communications as a whole at CSU isn't, I don't necessarily think, at the forefront of everybody's minds when they're looking at it. What would you kind of say to students that are looking to get into it and considering CSU?
Yeah, I would say that I think you have a great opportunity there, and also that the opportunity is what you make of it. So I went to Charleston Southern first and foremost to get a great education, but because I had a soccer scholarship to play there and I wanted to explore that opportunity. And I knew at the time when I was there back in 2007 was my first year, the communications and broadcast department as it pertained to news broadcasts and sports broadcasts was still kind of just developing. My friend Katie and I like really said this is what we wanted to do, and we're literally sitting there with a camera and reading off of note cards and just trying to do something while we were there. But to see where the program is now versus where it was then, to me, it's just grown leaps and bounds. There's so much opportunity there. There's so many great sports in not just at Charleston Southern in the Charleston area that people could learn from and grow from. And for me, there's opportunity even outside of just Charleston Southern. I did those 2 internships while I was in school to make sure that I was getting the real world contacts and getting the experience and getting to know people in the area. And that, I think, goes a long way when you get out of college and you're trying to start a job in the real world and figure out your life, and having some of those contacts throughout the city and throughout Charleston Southern helped me a lot.
So kind of a fun question for you.
Okay.
I feel like we've been a little more serious, COVID talk and career stuff. But so you mentioned you've been all over the place, Charleston, Greensboro, Charlotte, Myrtle Beach. What's been your favorite thing to cover so far during your career?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I am so bad at favorites. I don't know if I can't imagine, people say like as a mother, you can never pick your favorite. I'm not a mother, but I feel anytime, if you ask me what my favorite color is, I'm like, oh, are we talking about like shirts or flowers? My favorite thing that I've gotten to cover.
Maybe like a top 3. Maybe you don't have to pick.
Yeah, I could do a top 3. When I got to Charlotte, I started there in January of 2016, and less than a month later I was stepping foot on a plane to San Francisco to cover the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. And to be honest with you, I was just trying not to breathe wrong so no one realized that the new girl probably wasn't supposed to be there, and how did this happen? So that was incredibly surreal, covering that. I got to cover another Super Bowl in Atlanta just for our sister station there at the time, not with any direct ties to the team. So Super Bowl was really amazing. I got to cover North Carolina when they won, the men's team when they won, I believe it was 2017, basketball when they won the national championship, and to be there for a Final Four, and then to see the team that I was there covering win a national title. That was incredible. And then I'd probably have to go ACC Network and getting to cover the national championship this year as well. To be there in our first year, even though Clemson did not win, to have that experience with all of these people that had worked so hard in our first year with the network. For me, there's always a moment during the game before it starts when you're standing on the field as an athlete or someone that's covering it, or for me, even when I'm a fan in the stands, when they play the national anthem and you kind of look around and it's just a moment of quiet while you're just taking it all in, where it's kind of like a pinch me moment for me. And so I definitely had that during the national championship as well. So I guess those would be my top 3. I got to cover the Masters too, and that was really cool. So that's 4. I cheated, sorry.
Hey, look, I was gonna say I put you on the spot with the 1, a little bit of flexibility.
I know, I appreciate the grace, so I could pick a few.
Anybody that's been to 2 Super Bowls gets some flexibility. It's fine.
Yeah.
When's the last time you were starstruck?
The last time I was starstruck, when I was in Charlotte, covering a Hornets game. It was when the Lakers came and LeBron was just there. And they told me to clear out the tunnel where I was. So I'm like, why do I have to clear out? I'm on the phone. I can't walk back in there. And they said, MJ's coming through. So I was like, oh gosh, let me scoot over. And so I went into the little corner where I was standing, and I'm a big shoe person. So for me, MJ is, I mean, Jordans are my favorite shoe, the Jordan 1s. So of course I had a pair on, and he walked by and looked at my feet and looked at me and smiled and said, nice shoes. And I was like, thanks, they're yours. And so that was really starstruck. He makes me starstruck. Mia Hamm, I got to meet her once, and I don't even think that I could speak words out of my mouth when I got to meet her. And then Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, seeing them, those are probably the 4 that really make me stop and forget my name and what I'm doing and how to talk and walk and be a human.
I had an MJ experience, and he's imposing. I was in the Panthers press box. I was going to the bathroom, and a tall guy walks by with an entourage, and I'm like, wait. And I double back, and so I walk back, and sure enough, it was Michael Jordan. You're just like, it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah. You don't even know what to say or do, or like, should I go the other way? Like, should I high five? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm behind now. I don't have any MJ experiences. I got to catch up.
Oh yes, you gotta go to a Hornets game or a Panthers game. It sounds like you gotta get up to Charlotte.
Yeah. I know. I gotta do something. I gotta catch up. I mean, Nick has got his. We talked to Fred Applin, the women's basketball coach. I mean, he's got so many MJ stories. I don't even know if you could count them.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he probably tops them all.
No. It drops names like it's nothing, like it's raining.
Yeah, we're gonna play a game with Fred's phone one day and just go through and see who's in there.
I like that. We did that. Well, we didn't do exactly that with our ACC football coaches. We had them on, and they obviously didn't want to talk about football because you've got all of your competitors on a Zoom call. And so it was like, who's scared of spiders and who cries during movies? And then one of the questions we asked was, who's the coolest person's phone number that you have in your phone? And so you get some good answers from that.
Fred's answer was Ken Griffey Jr. Apparently they're still friends.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? No big deal.
Yeah, he plays it off very, very, very nonchalantly.
Casual.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that, so don't ask me that question.
Well, I'll ask you this, and so this is a bit of a kind of a personal question for me. A huge college football fan, just kind of like yourself. You mentioned I've been out west. It's where I went to school at Arizona State. I'm fresh here to the South. So what's, out of all the campuses you've been to and those college football stadiums, which one do I have to get to?
So this year, probably my favorite one was Virginia Tech. To be there and to see the entrance, and when they play Enter Sandman and the way the crowd reacts and goes wild, I mean, it is just an incredible moment. The first time I covered Virginia Tech, it was like a 3:00 kick, and they were playing Rhode Island. And so myself and my crew, we were like, well, we probably aren't going to get the full experience. There won't be maybe that many fans, and they won't be going that crazy. No, you would have thought this was the biggest game of their life, because it just is such an electric moment in that stadium when it happens. For me, I would have to go Virginia Tech. Clemson, I mean, when they run down the hill at Death Valley, that is quite the experience as well. I'm trying to think which others. For me this year, it was Virginia Tech, just because that was something I had heard about and seen from afar for so long. And I mean, you literally, like, the hairs on your arms stand up, because it just is such an electric, however long that they play it for, a few minutes right there before the beginning of the game.
I mean, whether playing Rhode Island or Virginia, there's nothing else to do in Blacksburg. So, they're going to.
That's true. And it has the whole college town feel, which to me is cool too. When you're around campus and you're going, like, Blacksburg is Virginia Tech. And so that to me, like, just adds to the experience. And then you get there and you see them run out, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. Take a drive. How far is Virginia Tech?
So 10-year-old me is smiling ear to ear because I grew up a Virginia Tech fan.
You did? Oh my gosh! So you've been
So
there?
when you said that, I was, on the inside, I was smiling ear to ear.
So did you go to a game already?
So I haven't actually been to a game, unfortunately. So
I was just making sure that I wasn't explaining everything to you, all the feelings you already knew, like Kelsey picked somewhere else. But
no, I was gonna say I haven't unfortunately been to a game. I've been to Blacksburg. I think it's a great city. That's college. Those college towns like that. Blacksburg, Eugene, Oregon is one that is phenomenal. I want to get up to Clemson. I've heard great things. So.
Yeah. That's definitely Clemson's definitely an easy drive, and then you can go to Virginia Tech.
Blacksburg's about 6 hours. Go there, have some McAdoos, and go to the game.
There you go. Perfect.
I wouldn't complain. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know, Nick. Do you have anything else?
No, I think this has been great, though. Thank you so much, Kelsey.
Hey, you guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate y'all doing this and everything y'all are doing. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Yes, go Bucs. We appreciate it. That is former CSU soccer player and then host and reporter for the ACC Network, Kelsey Riggs. Kelsey, thanks for coming on. That was Kelsey Riggs, former CSU soccer player and ACC Network host and reporter. And it was a lot of fun getting to chat with her. That was kind of the first time I think the two of us have really had a face-to-face. I know at least myself, that was the first time I've met her.
I'd met her about 2 years ago. And it was literally in the office, me going, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." And that was the extent of it. So it was nice to get to know her as opposed to just not blowing her off, but I was busy. So it couldn't be more than just a cordial, "Hey, it's nice to meet you." Which, what can you do?
Two ships passing.
Perfect analogy. Exactly what it was.
No, it was great getting to talk with her and just hear everything. And we kind of mentioned she was right there at the front. She was in Greensboro when everything started to happen, and really just get her perspective on how everything went down. It was really great.
Yeah, we've had some really awesome interviews, and that was another one. And we've been very fortunate that we've had some really good interviews, and really like Kelsey on that one. That was a really solid one.
Yeah, so it was another great week. We get Kelsey talking about a couple Super Bowls. We've got Chris talking about his new book.
Different is the title.
There we go. We've got Chris's new book, Different, the camps over the River Dogs and just everything that the two of them have been doing. It's really, really great to see CSU alums, former athletes just out there and being as successful as they are. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah, and, we talk about CSU because we have to, because that's our place of work. But it is a great place to be. And look what people can do after this. I mean, you have locally in news Tessa Spencer, who's been big. She's also on the radio. Senator Tim Scott went to CSU. Charles James, pardon me, the former NFL player, former CSU player. We're a small school, but man, we do have some heavy hitters, not to mention how many baseball players we've had come from there, including at least one World Series winner with the Red Sox.
Yeah, we got a lot of names, and you know what? We're going to keep this going. Hopefully we can grab a few more along the lines. But, I think that's everything we've got for this week. We really appreciate you joining in. It was a fun week. We got another good one next week for you. And that's pretty much it. For my partner, Nick Case, my name is Killian McClatchy, and enjoy the rest of your week.